Let's turn at just before 5 to 7 to Nabila Ramdani, who's a freelance journalist, an expert on Middle East and North African politics. She's covered the entire conflict and indeed has interviewed both Colonel Gaddafi and Saif Islam, his son. She's on the line now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Quite a night.
Absolutely, a very momentous night for the history of Libya, I have to say. An awful lot of twists and turns, as well as your speaker mentioned earlier. A few hours ago only, everybody feared a bloodbath in Tripoli and a bitter fight between rebel forces and Gaddafi loyalists. And as it happened, there was very little resistance from the Gaddafi regime, except for a few isolated snipers and still, pockets of resistance and small ongoing battles. And I think, the rebel forces reached the Green Square quite easily, and they've already renamed it Martyr Square. And of course, scenes of rejoicing have dominated the night. But I think one of the biggest development is that, according to the ICC, 2 of Gaddafi's sons have been arrested, and most importantly, Saif Islam Gaddafi, who was, of course, at some point tipped as the heir to Gaddafi himself. So that's a huge blow to the Gaddafi clan.
What do you think Colonel Gaddafi does now? I mean, assuming he has any freedom of movement left to him, I mean, you've interviewed him. He's a strange man, to put it mildly, isn't he? What do you think his options are?
Well, he's nowhere to be seen at the moment. It's very hard to say whether he's still in Tripoli, in Libya even, or whether he's fled the country. But the sense I got from him when I interviewed him is he's a very much a strong man. He's been a pariah for decades, and when the conflict started at the beginning, the West effectively put him straight back in that position of pariah, the hard man defying the West, and that's exactly what he's been doing until the very end. He played the defiant card until a few hours ago. And he still hasn't surrendered, so effectively he's still in power, even though it has to be said he's become a bit irrelevant.
And just a word very briefly about the future, because I think you don't share a kind of in a view of optimism about what might happen. You think there are really significant issues now for the incoming government.
I think the post-Gaddafi era is looking pretty daunting, in my opinion. There is an immediate concern of the management of security and policing. And on the long term, I'm afraid Libya might be looking at a Somalia-style civil war between various factions.
Well, we'll get to these issues later in the programme. Thank you very much. Nabila Ramdani.